against the stream. It don't matter what race or creed or color. You love this land and you're my brother. And that anyways, you know your stand. If you say you can't breathe, I'll show you we can. Ain't never gonna stop believing. We were born for freedom. We're born for freedom.
Hey y'all. Okay, so I'm back. This is the continuation of 33 Strategies of War. I needed to go get me a little cold beer. I'm drinking Local Buzz, the honey Rye Ale, 5.2%, 20 IBU, coming out of Dallas, Texas. This is one of my favorite beers. Great beer and independent. So make sure you guys don't be drinking Bud Light. Don't be drinking Heineken, drink like local stuff, support your local brewer. Always believe in that. Always support small business. Anyhow, I had another Ban Fam celebrity come into my last chat, my last live that I just did. And he gave us some additional perspective on this book and additional perspective on how the Patriots think. And the conclusion that we made together was that the Patriots are immature. So we can't expect maturity from immature people. That is a hard pill to swallow. And that's fine. But I'm in this fight. And the people that are close to me are in this fight, and we're not giving up, okay? And the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to understand ourselves, okay? Sun Tzu talks about it. We are reading chapter 2, Do Not Fight the Last War, Guerrilla War of the Mind Strategy, okay? Make sure you have your pen and paper out. I'm providing lots and lots of notes for you. Or at least screenshot it when I put the notes up so you do not forget these concepts. Okay, we talked about a little bit about personality disorders. We talked about what's going on online. We talked about the mindset that people with PTSD and CPTSD have. We talked about why living in past traumas as well as past victories is a problem. It blinds you. It gives you tunnel vision so you can't adapt to whatever's going on in the present moment. Okay? That is a problem. That is a huge problem. We also spoke about recognizing patterns in the enemy and knowing your enemy. But you can't know your enemy unless you know yourself. And Sun Tzu has said it many times. He has talked about the only types of successful generals, the only types of successful commanders are the ones who know the enemy and know themselves. Okay? This is the Tao. This is the heaven and earth. This is the yin and yang. We can sit here and feel as justified as we want to feel. But if Antifa is standing right next to each other, right next to us, wearing a Trump hat, do we know who we're dealing with? I certainly didn't. I'm not going to say too much, but John Sullivan gave me a hug and told me I was beautiful. His energy and his apparent dedication to the cause blinded me to seeing and knowing that this motherfucker was Antifa. And he touched me. He gave me a hug. You know how gross I feel because of that? But again, we get wrapped up in emotion. We get wrapped up in the feelings. We get wrapped up in our own virtue, and we don't even know who's standing next to us. And Marlon brought up a really good point. He talked about this is why people keep voting for rhinos. The same reason. Because you don't know the enemy when you see it. And you're too stuck in your own shit to even know yourself. That's the problem. All right. I can't find it right now. I need to highlight this book and keep better notes in this book. But anyway, we are going to proceed with the chapter. I had to break this up into 2 hour-long lectures because, hey, Lawrence, hey. Yes, nice to see you here. Thank you for your donation. Make sure you watch last night's live stream so you can pick your gift. I have your photography ready for everyone who donated. I have your deliverables ready. And for everyone else, please make sure that you donate to the fundraiser, either Cash App, $ Zach is innocent. Zach is spelled with a CH, or www.defendzach.com. Okay. I'm going to just continue. If you are behind, you can go back and watch the last hour-long video and then watch this one later tonight or tomorrow or whatever you need to do. Okay. What Ramel meant was that education tends to burn precepts into the mind that are hard to shake. In the midst of combat, the trained mind may fall a step behind, focusing more on learned rules than the changing circumstances of battle. When you are faced with a new situation, it is often best to imagine that you know nothing and that you need to start learning all over again. God, tell me about it. That is fucking therapy 101. That is what therapy does for us who are responsible and mature enough to face our demons and do our shadow work, is that we are reparenting ourselves. That's what we're doing. We are extracting all of the negative experiences from our childhood, extracting all of the neuro-linguistic programming that has been burned into our minds by our parents, telling us that we're nothing and that we're no good. We're extracting all of that and we are turning it around. We are reprogramming our minds. And the only way to do that is to be humble and open-minded. And a good strategist, in addition to being observant and temperate, also has to be humble and open-minded, because if you are not, you are going to think that your way is the right way. You're going to be trigger happy. You're going to believe false intel or poor intel, and it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. This is why people stay stuck for lifetimes. And thank God I've only been stuck until a year ago. I mean, I started unsticking myself about 6 years ago. But when I really got down and dirty into my own memories and really started addressing them, that's when things started changing. And I am continuing to change them. Continuing. I've been with the same therapist for 8 months now, and I am just now in the last 6 months having more and more breakthroughs. And it's hard and it's ugly and it's a process that everyone is afraid to do. But if you want to move forward in your life, like for me, if I want to move forward and not die an old lady with a bunch of cats, I am going to have to I'm going to have to clear out that dust, clear out those cobwebs, clear out that negative thinking, learn how to be vulnerable, learn how to open my heart a little bit, learn how to stop being in survival mode, learn how to stop being so fucking defensive with men, with jobs, with people all the time. I've got to stop I mean, Jenny the Warrior Princess is awesome, but it's not serving me at all times. And I've got to learn how to turn that off. I've got to learn how to be at peace. Got to learn how to look in the mirror and like what I see. Body dysmorphia is a big problem for me. I've had body dysmorphia since I was 7 years old. I'm just now coming out of it. And even sometimes I still tell myself negative things, but I catch myself and I wage war on myself. You must consciously wage war against the past and force yourself to react to the present moment. Be ruthless on yourself and do not repeat the same tired methods. And I'm finally doing that at 39, almost 40 years old. When you are faced with a new situation, it is often best to imagine that you know nothing and that you need to start learning all over again. Clearing your head of everything you thought you knew, even your most cherished ideas, will give you the mental space to be educated by your present experience, the best school of all. You will develop your own strategic muscles instead of depending on other people's theories and books. Erase the memory of the last war. The last war you fought is a danger, even if you won it. It is fresh in your mind. If you were victorious, you will tend to repeat the strategies you just used, for success makes us lazy and complacent. If you lost, you may be skittish and indecisive. Do not think about the last war. You do not have the distance or the detachment. Instead, do whatever you can to blot it from your mind. During the Vietnam War, the great North Vietnamese general Vo Nguyen Giap had a simple rule of thumb. After a successful campaign, he would convince himself that he had actually been a failure. As a result, he never got drunk on his success and never repeated the same strategy in the battle. Rather, he had to think through each situation anew. I see a lot of that amongst the patriots, guys. This is what happens. You go viral. Maybe for some of us, we've never had attention like that before. Maybe for some of us, we've been so invalidated in our life up until we posted that video. And you become follower drunk. And I am seeing, and I have seen, conservative influencer after conservative influencer after conservative influencer get follower drunk. And they keep saying the same shit that they said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago that made them famous, or at least conservative famous, Maga famous. And they never change strategies. Sorry, I love Brandon Straka, but he's doing the same shit that he's always done. He's doing the same shit that he's always done. And the truth is, there really was never any proof of performance in the beginning. It was just a lot of very well recorded and well edited videos. But there are no action items coming from the Walk Away campaign. Sorry, it's changed my mind. Changed my mind. Oh, what's up, Not Danielle? How are you? Can you please find me on Instagram, because we need to talk. I have you and your husband listed for an episode of Armageddon, and I really, really want to get you guys on. Would you guys be able to record something on Friday? I know you wanted to talk about EMP. Your husband wanted to talk about EMP. So please, 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 please contact me. Did I give you my number? I can't remember. But whatever. Hubby is sick now. As soon as it's better, we plan on the interview. All right. Well, if he's better by Friday, Friday is my next day off that I know of. So please, please record with me on Friday. I try not to take up a lot of people's time. I try as hard as I can to keep these interviews under 1 hour. I don't do fucking long ass videos. Sometimes I do long live streams, but most of the time I try to keep everything under an hour. Okay. So get your notes ready and we will just rapid fire, get all the information. Everything that he wanted to say, he can just say it. He has the floor, and you guys can chime in, or I'll chime in with my commentary or questions, and that'll be it. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Done. I'm very respectful of other people's time. Okay. Ted Williams, perhaps baseball's greatest hitter, made a point of always trying to forget his last at bat. Whether he'd gotten a home run or a strikeout, he put it behind him. No two at-bats are the same, even against the same pitcher. And Williams wanted an open mind. He would not wait for the next at-bat to start forgetting. The minute he got back to the dugout, he started focusing on what was happening in the game taking place. Attention to details of the present is by far the best way to crowd out the past and forget the last war. Keep the mind moving. When we were children, our minds never stopped. We were open to new experiences and absorbed as much of them as possible. We learned fast because the world around us excited us. When we felt frustrated or upset, we would find some creative way to get what we wanted and then quickly forget the problem as something new crossed our path. All the greatest strategists, Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Musashi, were childlike in this respect. Sometimes, in fact, they even acted like children. The reason is simple. Superior strategists see things as they are. They are highly sensitive to dangers and opportunities. Nothing in life stays the same, and keeping up with circumstances as they change requires a great deal of mental fluidity. Great strategists do not act according to preconceived ideas. They respond in the moment, like children. Their minds are always moving. They are always excited and curious. They quickly forget the past. The present is much too interesting. That is a really good word of advice for anyone struggling with PTSD. Absolutely. Any women or men struggling with borderline personality disorder, anybody who has been sexually traumatized, that is a nugget of gold for you. The present is much too interesting. Stop with the ruminations. Stop with the fantasies. Stop with the what ifs. Stop with the why me's. Stop asking God, why did this happen to you? Live in the moment so you can see the goodness that is around you. Live in the moment so you can see the dangers that are around you. Live in the moment. Pay attention to red flags. Pay attention to green flags. Pay attention to everything that's going on so that you are not stuck making decisions out of fear and guilt and shame. I'm learning this. I'm just now learning this. Okay. I'm just now learning this in the past 8-9 months. This is so imperative in order to move forward in your life and open yourself to better opportunities and doing bigger things and attacking that look, I ain't no doctor here. I'm not a biologist, as our newest SCOTUS says, as our newest SCOTUS justice says. I'm not a biologist, but I can tell you this much. Anxiety and depression and panic attacks are nothing more than a manifestation of living in the fucking past. I said what I said. The Greek thinker Aristotle thought that life was defined by the moment. Defined by movement. What does not move is dead. What has speed and mobility has more possibilities, more life. We all start off with the mobile mind of a Napoleon, but as we get older, we tend to become more like the Prussians. You may think what you'd like to recapture from your youth is your looks, your physical fitness, the simple pleasures. But what you really need is the fluidity of your mind once possessed. Whenever you find your thoughts revolving around a particular subject or idea, an obsession, a resentment, force them past it. Distract yourself with something else, like a child. Find something new to be absorbed by, something worthy of concentration and attention. Do not waste times on things you cannot change or influence. Just keep moving. That's a hard concept for people with PTSD, depression, or anxiety. That's a really, really hard concept. But guess what? It will free you when you implement it. I feel like a kid. You know what? I tell people all the time, I'm a 16-year-old girl in a 40-year-old body. You know why? Because I allowed myself to regress to the version of myself that was still fucking pure. And not only that, I forgave my parents, I'm forgiving my parents, and I am doing my shadow work, speaking to my inner child, and reparenting myself in the healthy ways that I was never given. Giving myself tools that my parents never gave me. Purifying myself, getting back to that place of being fucking innocent again, being creative again. It's a beautiful thing. And I find myself more like, fuck how men feel about me. I find myself more attractive living this way. Because being Jenny the warrior princess is great in certain circumstances, but it has also been that rock in the mud that has built up so many walls, made me so defensive, made me so masculine, made me so angry for so many years. And I don't want to be that way anymore. And I'm not going to. And if I die tomorrow, at least today I am fucking happy with who I am. And I'm not like crying myself to sleep and asking God, why me anymore? Whatever, it fucking happened. All of it fucking happened. And it's disgusting. And it wasn't okay. But here's something my therapist said. Toxic people are not allowed to dictate my self-worth. Even if those toxic people are your parents or your family. Here's another one. What if we woke up every day wondering what is possible, not what is going wrong? That's from therapy. Throughout history of warfare, there have been classic battles in which the past has confronted the future in a hopeless mismatch. It happened in the 7th century when the Persians and the Byzantines confronted the invincible armies of Islam with their new form of desert fighting, or the first half of the 13th century when the Mongols used relentless mobility to overwhelm the heavy armies of the Russians and the Europeans, or in 1806 when Napoleon crushed the Prussians at Jena. In each case, the conquering army developed a way of fighting that maximized a new form of technology or social order. You can reproduce this effect on a smaller scale by attuning yourself to the spirit of the times. Developing an antenna for the trends that have yet to crest takes work and study, as well as the flexibility to adapt to those trends. As you get older, it is best to periodically alter your lifestyle. In the golden age of Hollywood, most actresses had very short careers, but Joan Crawford fought the studio system and managed to have a remarkably long career by constantly changing her style, going from siren to noir heroine to cult queen. Instead of staying sentimentally attached to some fashion of days gone by, she was able to sense a rising trend and go with it. By constantly adapting and changing your style, you will avoid the pitfalls of your previous wars. Just when people feel like they know you, you will change. Reverse course. The great Prussian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky suffered from epilepsy. Just before a seizure, he would experience a moment of intense ecstasy, which he described as a feeling of being suddenly flooded with reality, a momentary vision of the world exactly as it is. Later, he would find himself getting depressed, as this vision was crowded out by the habits and routines of daily life. During these depressions, wanting to feel that closeness to reality again, he would go over to the nearest casino and gamble away all his money. There, reality would overwhelm him. Comfort and routine would be gone, stale patterns broken, having to rethink everything. He would get his creative energy back. This was the closest he could deliberately come to a sense of ecstasy he got through epilepsy. Now, hold on. 1 second. Now, I wouldn't recommend gambling all your money away, because that can be considered borderline irresponsible or an addiction. This sounds like somebody who was a little bit addicted to the high because he hated reality. That's fine. But don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay? Please don't do that. For me, I get lost in podcasts, and I get lost in books. It's very comforting, and that's what I do to escape reality. I listen to a lot of ghost stories. I listen to a lot of paranormal stuff because it takes me away from where we are here on Earth, and I kind of don't like it. But stale patterns being broken. So while Fyodor Dostoevsky was breaking stale patterns by engaging in risky behavior, because most of my life I've engaged in risk. I mean, I've been somewhat responsible, but I've also engaged in some risky behavior. And I don't just mean with sex. I mean with like doing things that didn't bring back fruit, doing things that didn't bear fruit, like spending money on things that were wastes of money, things like stupid stuff. For me, risky behavior and living in survival mode does not make me feel alive. For me, having stable life makes me feel alive. So again, this is temperance and observation. Temperance and observation. Okay? For someone who is very repressed, what you need to do is express yourself more. For someone who expresses themselves too much and talks without thinking about what the fuck you're saying, it is better for you to learn to be silent and to learn to practice active listening. For someone like me, who has been in survival mode for so many years and working 2-3 jobs and you know, catering to instant gratification, you know, mainly alcohol, like not really. I mean, yeah, like I've had my fun with men, and women, but but like instant gratification was always a soothing temporary fix. But now that I'm not living like that, what is the I'm not looking for soothing temporary fixes anymore. I'm looking for ongoing, real and tangible and quantifiable healing. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing the opposite of what I was used to doing. And so for Dostoevsky, it was risky behavior. For me, it's stability. Make sense? Okay. Hey, Stewie. Hey, Fat Jew. Stewie, have you donated to the fundraiser yet? I need a pledge from you. Can you do $20, Stewie? Yes, no, yes, no. Let me know. Okay. I need a pledge from everyone. Okay. The fundraiser ends this Friday. And if you want your deliverables and if you want your private stream with darling Jenny, if you want to come to the Prince party, we're going to have a special appearance from the Joker. If you want that, you need to break a bitch off. Okay. Dostoevsky's method was a little extreme, but sometimes you have to shake yourself up, break free from the hold of the past. So for me, instead of being responsible, I want to be childlike. Instead of, being defensive, I want to let my guard down. Instead of being in survival mode and jumping from place to place to place and job to job to job, I want to plant my roots somewhere and stay at the same job and stay at the same in the same residence and keep the same friends and hopefully one day have a great relationship with someone who wants me as much as I want them and who can be consistent. It's hard to find, but that's what I want. I don't want to live like I used to live, which is constantly fucking fighting all these fucking demons and constantly adjusting and constantly no, I want some stability. Okay. This can take the form of reversing your course, doing the opposite of what you would normally do in any given situation, putting yourself in some unusual circumstance, or literally starting over. And I'm really happy that I'm going to get the opportunity to do that in Florida with the Fat Jew and his family. But I'm also proud of myself that I've been able to stay at the same job for almost 6 months now. I've been able to stay in the same home for almost 8 months now. Instead of bouncing from place to place to place, I'm learning how to deal with my triggers. I'm learning how to be a better friend, learning how to be a better roommate, learning how to keep my mouth shut when I need to keep my mouth shut, and I have to be my own translator. So sometimes I be wanting to say shit because y'all know how I am. You know how I am. Sometimes I be wanting to say shit, but then like people like 20 years ago, like, well, what would Jesus do? No. Not what would Jesus do. What would my therapist do? Like, I think about my therapist a lot. She's such a great lady. How would she say what I want to say? And I think about it in terms of that. And then I act as my own translator when I'm in professional situations. Now, it's kind of hard to get fired from the company that I'm at. Like, you really just like not. The only way you're really going to get fired is if like you just stop coming to work, honestly. But having been a person in the restaurant industry who has had to juggle so many personalities and be around so many different energies and not really be good at dealing with it, at least on the inside, becoming my own translator keeps me out of trouble. Now, there is a way to be effective with how you communicate without completely pissing people off. I'm good at pissing people off. That's why I'm a chef. I'm good at running a tight ship. And some people respect it and some people hate it. So the question is, how do I implement my efficacy without getting myself fired? That is the question. That is the challenge. Okay. So it's not about changing who you are. It's about becoming more, again, the word effective. Like, if I need to get from point A to point B, do I yell and scream to get from point A to point B? Do I express compassion to get from point A to point B? Can I say it like this? Do I write it down? I don't know. I mean, every moment calls for a different reaction. And again, that's where observation and temperance comes in. Hey, Clue in the house. Happy you're here, Clue. I'm almost done. I only have 2 more pages, but I'm happy you're here. Make sure you go back and watch from the beginning so you can catch up with us, okay? Relationships often develop a certain tiresome predictability. You do what you usually do, other people respond the way they usually do, and it goes and goes, and around it goes. If you reverse course, act in a novel manner, you alter the entire dynamic. And again, that goes back to what I'm just saying. I'm not thinking about how do I communicate from a place of anger. Now I'm starting to think about, okay, how do I communicate from a place of creativity and having a novel and clever mindset, being novel and clever with what I say to get what I need to get from point A to point B. Do this often. So break up the relationship's stale patterns and open it to new possibilities. Think of your mind as an army. Armies must adapt to the complexity and chaos of modern war by becoming more fluid, and there's that word again, fluidity, and maneuverable. The ultimate extension of this evolution is guerrilla warfare, which exploits chaos by making disorder and unpredictability a strategy. The guerrilla army never stops to defend a particular place or town. It wins by always moving, staying one step ahead, by following no set pattern. It gives the enemy no target. The guerrilla army never repeats the same tactic. It responds to the situation the moment the terrain, and there's a lot of talk about terrain, there's the terrain where it happens to find itself. There is no front, no concrete line of communication or supply, no slow-moving wagon. The guerrilla army is pure mobility. That is the model for your new way of thinking. Apply no tactic rigidly. Do not let your mind settle into static positions, defending any particular place or idea, repeating the same lifeless maneuvers. Attack the problems from new angles, adapting to the landscape and to what you're given. By staying in consistent motion, you show your enemies no target to aim at. You exploit the chaos of the world instead of succumbing to it. There is never any value in fighting the last war. But while you're eliminating that pernicious tendency, you must imagine that your enemy is trying to do the same thing, trying to learn from and adapt to the present. Some of history's worst military disasters have come not out of fighting the last war, but out of assuming that that's what your opponent will do. When Saddam Hussein of Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, he thought of the United States had yet to recover from Vietnam syndrome, the fear of casualties and loss that had been so traumatic during the Vietnam period, and that it would either avoid war altogether or would fight in the same way it had, trying to win the war from the air instead of on the ground. He did not realize that the American military was ready for a new kind of war. Remember, the loser in any battle may be too traumatized to fight again, but may also learn from the experience and move on. Err on the side of caution. Be ready. Never let your enemy surprise you in war. And that concludes chapter 2 of The Art of War. Again, I said this in the last video. This is part 1, which is self-directed warfare. As much as I would like to read this entire book to you guys, I shouldn't and I can't because of copyright issues, and I don't want Robert Greene suing me, which he probably already has reason to if he wants to, but I think he's a good man. I don't think he would sue me. I'm using this as a teaching material, right? You know what? For shits and giggles, let me go ahead and post this. Hold on. No, I don't have it. Never mind. The next chapter is organizational warfare. It has 3 chapters. I'm sorry, the next part is called organizational warfare. It has 3 chapters. I will only read 1. Part 3 is defensive warfare. It has 4 chapters. I will only read 1. Part 4 is offensive warfare, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 chapters. I will only read 2. Part 5, unconventional, dirty warfare, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Also 11 chapters. I will only read 2. For legal purposes, I can't read you guys this entire book as much as I would like to, okay? I have to be careful. I have to protect myself. But I will tell you this. This is one of the best books I've ever read. I am very excited to finish it. I will continue to leave notes and highlights for you. I will continue to summarize it for you. I will continue to give you guys the cliff notes so that if you cannot get this, again, there is a free PDF. I don't know if I can still post it. Yes. There's a free PDF where you can continue to read this book yourself. Keep up with me. Next week, we will do a chapter from organizational team warfare. I don't know which chapter I'm going to choose. Whichever one speaks to me the most will be the one that I read to you. I will leave certain things out, but make sure that you guys are caught up, okay? I definitely look forward to reading more books by Robert Greene. I know he has the 48 Laws of Power, which is probably his most popular book. He also has one about seduction, so definitely one I should read if I'm looking for a husband. And he also wrote a book with co-written with 50 Cent. And I believe that that book is about marketing. So it could be interesting. Okay. All right. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for staying with me. Go back and watch the first part. I had to break this up in 2 parts so that I could upload it on the other platforms that I'm on. If you are not already following me, On Instagram, I am RedPill TV1. Twitter, Rage RedPill. If you'd like to send me an email, I am redpillrage at redpill_rage at protonmail.com. My current TikTok profile is at not redpill. Gab and Rumble, I am RedPill Rage, all one word. And please, please, if you have not already made your donation, make your fucking donation, okay? I have deliverables for you. I have photography that I want to send you as a thank you gift, as well as the private Prince party where you're going to get to meet darling Jenny, and we have a special guest appearance from the Joker, all right? You don't want to miss the Prince party. It's going to be so much fun. I promise you. I already got my outfit together. I already got the playlist. I got all the music lined up. Okay, we're doing Vanity. We're doing Apollonia. We're doing Sheena Easton. Morris Day in the Time. I got everything. It's going to be so much fun. You don't want to miss it. Get your donations in. Thank you all so much. Have